Shinpei remarks that Shiori's face changed when she got him. He then recognized the festival's red floating girl. So is surprised that Shinpei was correct as the rain begins to fall. Shinpei wants to visit the old clinic. But So wants them to go tomorrow because it's getting dark and raining. So agrees to accompany Shinpei because she still wants to go. Mio and Takiko are stowing away from the downpour. Takiko inquires as to whether Mio will attend the festival tomorrow. But Mio responds that she does not wear a yukata. Takiko claims that she is willing to lend her one. After that, Takiko asks Mio to stay with her tomorrow in exchange for a favor. After that, a man shows up, but Takiko wonders who he is because he doesn't live nearby. The man asks them if they are familiar with the Kobayakawas and introduces himself as Miura from Wakayama's northern station. In the wake of getting ready, Shinpei and So meet to set out toward the mountain. Shinpei shows him that Ushio is on his neck and has transformed into a shell necklace. En route to the old facility, So uncovers that when he was in 4th grade, he attempted to sneak in the center as Tetsu Tatsunura and his companions welcomed him for a trial by fire. However, his father discovered them and prevented him from entering. So didn't think much of it because they owned the clinic because Saido could be there. However, he finds it odd and wonders what his father was doing there. Shinpei asks Ushio if she senses any shadows as they approach the clinic. But she denies it and comes out. Despite being in a swimsuit, So tries to correct her for not being serious, but she responds the same way he does. Shinpei explains that wearing clothes would prevent her from changing. Ushio goes on to say that since her actual body is only her flat shadow, even if she wears armor, it won't protect her from being stabbed by her shadow. They enter the old center and begin glancing around. Shinpei sees that the steps for the subsequent floor are broken and requests that Ushio actually take a look at it. So discovers an old medicine cabinet filled with toxic medications that are no longer in use due to their lethal toxins. Then, So discovers a bizarre old wooden statue with a fish in his left arm. That helps him to remember something and they figure it resembles an Ebisu sculpture. One of the 7 Lords of Fortune, divine force of fishing. However, Ebisu is typically portrayed as an old, overweight man rather than a leech-like female. Shinpei looked through on web and observes that Hirako is the primary god made from Izanagi and Izanami when Japan was made. But as it was a powerless kid, it was placed on a boat and cast out to the ocean. Hirako was portrayed as a bloodsucker-like without any arms or legs, making some deciphered that Hirako is heteromorphic. The wood statue is then identified as Hirako by Shinpei. Ushio discovers a cookbook and an old picture book about the Hishigata family on the 2nd floor. Ushio is asked to enter through a small wall crack when Shinpei calls her. After Shinpei promises to buy her some food at the festival, Ushio agrees. When on the opposite side, as it's excessively dull so that her might be able to see, Shinpei recommends she can utilize her duplicate light to light the room. Ushio sees a keyhole as she does, and she thinks it's a door. Shinpei gets back to her, however they can't break the wall and need to search for the key. Shinpei brings out rice balls because Ushio is getting hungry. Shinpei notices that the Hirako statue has a bulging stomach and may be pregnant as she stuffs herself. Ushio uncovers her sweet can see within things, similar to human bones and organs, and as she examines the sculpture, she sees something in the sculpture midsection. She attempts to duplicate a hair string with it, which results in a key. They see a tunnel below, and Ushio opens the secret door with it. However, Ushio warns them that she senses a shadow there. So considers what his dad is doing as there is a mysterious entryway that must be opened with Shadow's assistance. So says that it looks like a wartime underground canal as they descend. Shinpei surmises nobody has been here since many years and this is a way just Shadow's use. Ushio feels the bearing of the shadow, however feels crisp and has a terrible inclination. Shinpei states that Ushio ought to zero in on safeguarding herself and so to attempt to safeguard her also. Shinpei points out that if he dies, he will loop again, however, if Ushio dies first, he may end up looping without her, and if that is the case, the next time he sees her could be at the festival or never. Heading towards the shadow, Shinpei sees a human-molded dull stain, nonetheless, Ushio feels it's very old. The shadow, which is right behind the next corner, is where a rat just ran to, and Ushio then detects it. Shinpei goes to check it out, and as he looks, he sees a baby-like shadow that doesn't have the top half of its head. It then looks like a rat and vanishes. Shinpei plans to stick it with a nail gun and tosses a stone. However, the shadow doesn't respond, neither to the sound or the light. The shadow picks him up as he gets closer. The shadow then gets away from past Shinpei, who misses with his nail gun. He hits it with his baseball bat as it approaches but the shadow transforms back into its shadow form, softening the blow, and then transforms again and charges at him. So is pinned to the ground by the shadow. Shinpei figures out how to quiet himself down and afterward raises a ruckus around town 3 times with the nail gun, making it incapable to move. It is then thrown at Ushio by So, who kills it. The gathering then, at that point, celebrates. However, after a second, Ushio feels bizarre and states the primary shadow she detected is still near. Ushio's arm starts to bleed as they go on because Mio injured her before. She had printed another arm, yet it appears she haven't recuperated from the harm. Following that, she prints a second arm to stop the bleeding. So continues to wonder whether Ushio can replicate the nail gun. Shinpei claims that they tried, and she did, but the copied machines are just copies until the original is erased, at which point the copy will function. Shinpei reveals that his copy nail gun has advantages, such as the ability to print him a replacement when it runs out of nails. They hear a gunfire and afterward arrive at a characteristic cavern. Then, Ushio gets the impression that shadows surround them. After that, several baby-like shadows attack them.